Welcome back to another reading and correcting of Stepping Up by me, Kindar, the Tiger Wright, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. The only reason this is not as horrible as it could be. Today we are doing Chapter 10. The bunnyling room was the same as the last time, down to the twitching nose poking out of one of the floor. The bunnyling room was the same as the last time, down to the twitching nose poking out of one of the floor tiles, letting them jump out without warning. One of the no, not mobile. Can erase. Yeah. One don't popping out of the damn it. I'm sure. Okay, well, I'm going to have to say like that because I can't spend 2 hours on this without. Hopefully, my editor will let me fix this. Okay, Jekyll said, last time we last time, there's a comma here. Last time we underestimated those floppy stone thing that shouldn't be able to hurt anything. Let's not make that mistake again. They've sensed the bunnyling running onto the floor, one cover stone to the other. I think I've got the answer. The out of one of the cover floor tiles. Yeah. One of the cover stones to the other. The fundamental problem for his team, except Jekyll and Kumdar, was that the room was bare of anything to use as cover. Stealth was impossible, which meant his role was that of a not particularly competent fighter. Kirina would have trouble with her strong magic since that needed time to focus, and Mez would have to fire his arrows on the move. Like with the ratlings, the bunnylings seemed to know how much of a threat she represented. They spent the entire last battle targeting her, forcing the rest to interfere with their attack, rendering theirs less effective. She touched her amulet, looking unhappy. I will protect Kirina, Kumdar said, slowly spinning his staff. Whatever else he'd been up to while away from Fraggle Rock, the cleric had become proficient at fighting. Yes, stay with them, Jekyll instructor. Kumdar, you can cover you two. Me and Tibs will do what we can to keep them distracted and at a distance. You can both take your shots. Tibs drew his knives. There were a dozen bunnylings within the range, but the room was large enough there could be twice, if not three times. There could be twice, if not three times, that number onto the floor. It could be twice, if not three times that number. That number onto the floor. He tried to keep track of them the last time, but the fight had deteriorated quickly into one of pure survival. He and Jekyll stepped into the room as one, and the nose poking out between the floor, as one, and the nose poking out between the floor and poking out from under the cover tile. He and Jekyll stepped into the room as one, and the nose poking out from under the cover tile still. Jekyll continued walking toward it, while Tibs stopped, attentive. It screeched, and the bunnylings ran to the closest cover stone, jumping out of their warren. They were a good head smaller than the ratlings, human-shaped bunnies with thick legs, scrawny arms, and thin hands and long claws. Even then, they looked like they should be easy to defeat, especially after fighting the bigger and more savage ratlings. But on top of being strong and fast, the bunnylings were coordinated. 4 and at Jackal, 3 at Tibs, and 6, no, 7 spread around the room as more exited the underground warren. Tibbs coated his body with a thin layer of ice for extra armor. You remember the ease with which those claws cut through his leathers. One rushed at him, and Tibbs stepped aside. Nah, it's detail for later. I keep forgetting to have Tibbs go to Daran to get his armor repaired. I need at least one seed established. One rushed at him, and Tibbs stepped aside, slashing. And claws. One rushed at him, and Tibbs stepped aside, slashing. Slashing at it. Claws cut his leg and nearly throwing him off balance. He cursed their coordination and his weakened eyes as he threw his knife at the retreating bunnyling. The other was already out of range, joining 2 more circling him. They weaved in and out, the retreating one joining them, adding to the difficulty of keeping track of which one was readying for a leap, a feint, or a rush, and instead they came at him as a unit. He coated his knife with fire as he threw another one, turning as he slashed the first to reach him. He felt claws into his side this time, but it was worth it as one bunnyling turned to rubble as it landed on the floor and a silver coin rolled away. He stabbed another one, then dropped to the floor and the jumper flew over him. This time, he was back to his feet and used his assets to wrap his cuts, stopping the bleeding. The pain still pulsed with each step, and he added earth to the ice, hoping that would compensate for how brittle it was now. How brittle it was now. Let's flip that. They circled him, and Tibbs moved with them, taking in the rest of the fight while not letting it distract him. Jackal was fighting 6, 2 of them armed with clubs, but the rubble at his feet and grin on his face told Tibbs he wasn't in trouble. Mez was firing arrow after arrows, but the bunnylings dodged most of them, and they were able to maneuver him in such a way that, as Tib watched, the archer nearly fired at Kumdar as a bunnyling got out of the way of the arrow at the last moment. Even with the cleric keeping bunnylings away from Karina, she had to stick to quick airblade attack. As the moment she began focusing, they mobbed her. As the moment she began focusing on something bigger, they mobbed her. Her attack and Kumdar's staff seemed to do little more than keep them at bay. Motion out of the corner of his eyes at Tibbs jump and reflexively slash at the lunging bunnyling. He missed. He rolled to his side, then claws had him falling forward due to their impact, but at least this time they had. I'm still overusing commas. At least this time they hadn't cut through his earth reinforced icing. He put a foot under him and his leg buckled as corruption erupted there. Felt the pain and the new weight on his shoulder as teeth dug in it and bit down. He screamed at the pain and skewered its head, crumbled away, and showed him another of the bunnyling running in his direction, head down. Memories of impact from stone bunnies and bunnylings alike made him react before he could stop, and it crumbled to rubble paces away from him as its essence was added to his large reserve. He cursed as the stone settled his feet. Promised though he wouldn't do this again. Kumdar finally had the upper hand on the group of bunnylings, targeting him and Karina, his staff trailing darkness with each swing and sending any it impacted flying away. Mez and Karina used their attack on those. The bulk of the bunnylings was before Jackal, keeping the fighter focused on them at the cost of a few of their numbers, while one exited. It's a swivel tile. Well, a cover tile well behind it. There's no need for the well. Cover time behind it. Jackal, Tibbs called, trying to draw his attention to the hidden attacker. but he was too busy to look away. Tibs pulled water essence in as he made the axe with his knife, and then he stabbed it in its center. It was ripped out of him nearly as fast as he replenished it. He dropped to a knee as the focus required meant he had to let the corruption weaken his leg. Once he stopped the attack, he panted and stared at the incoming bunnyling, frozen in place by fear and exhaustion. Where did it come from? He wondered. Then saw the raised floor tile. So had his answer, not that it helped him move. It exploded, and Tibs covered his face to keep the hot stone from hitting him. He then pushed himself to his leg, tightening the essence wrap over his injuries. Corruption had eaten. Jackal, Kierna called, throw one of them away from you. All the bunnylings that had been around her and Cumdar were rubbles. The fighter kicked one, and she raised, then lowered her hand, a feral grin on her face. Wind picked up the bunnyling, then slammed it to the floor. Slammed it on the floor. Slammed it to the floor. Jackal kicked another, and Maz shot it with an exploding fire arrow. Cumdar joined the fighter, and together they finished the bunnylings that were left. Someone tell me there aren't any left, Jackal said, holding his side. Tibs walked around the room, sensing on the floor. They're all dead. Thank the abyss. Jackal dropped to his knees. I never want to fight one of those again. He's going to be disappointed, Stowe commented. I'm glad you survived, Tibs. Thanks. Sorry about draining one of them. He just reacted. Don't worry about it. I'm guessing you haven't had a lot of chance to practice. Yeah. But his well trailed off, wondering who Stowe was. Why? Why? Stowe was on bottom. Last time Tibs had drained the essence out of one of his creatures, the dungeon had sounded like he had no choice but to take action. It happened again. Do you need me to heal you? Tibs asked Jackal. No. Father took a step back. Sorry, I'd rather not get that fever again. Well, the cleric will heal us when we leave. Maz sounded worried. Isn't that going to take care of everything? If it does, then next time I might get his help. But he still has corruption in him. No matter how much he tried to purge it. How much they tried to purge it. And his wraps interfere with my stone body. He smiled at the fearful archer. But don't worry. If you got a fever, I will take very good care of you. I warned you, Tibs said when Maz looked at him. I didn't think, swallowed and nodded. Are we continuing? We are searching this room, Jackal instructed. We are not leaving without all the loot after I had to go through this fight. Tibs looked at the room, empty except for the stone piles. An errant silver coin. That means looking in the warren. You said they're all dead, Rena asked. All right? Tibs nodded, towing the closest tile open. He dropped him, not looking forward to this. The others opened piles of their own and went into. Tibs was closer in height to the bunnylings. So he only had to bend down as he walked through the dark tunnel. He made a flame. He made a flame in his palm to provide illumination. Instead of chests, Tibs found small bags, each containing coins and gems. He had 3 when he exited. Rena was seated with Maz. holding a vial with a greenish liquid in it. What is that? Tibs asked, turning down. Serena continued. She continued studying it. I think it's one of the healing potions they used to hand out in the training grounds before we had the clerics. It's a healing potion. So confirmed. How did you make it? Tibs asked. I mean, how did you know to make it? You said that you need to have something before you can copy it. I need a basic form of it, yes, but after that, I can alter what makes it and see what happens. But in the case of this, a runner had it on her and she died before she got to use it. The rest of her team couldn't get to her in time to keep me from getting her. That happened before Bardick's attack, since Tibs and his friends were the first in. Who were they? How had a runner stolen a potion from the guild? One of the nobles? A pack of ratlings got her. Why would a noble settle for one of those? Was asked. If I didn't have a choice, I'd never have drunk one. Tibs bit back his reply. This wasn't a noble. Well, not one like the others. It would be so much easier if his friend dressed in his old clothing and armor instead of the expensive ones. The goods potions are expensive, enough that Tyrannia is careful in how the guild uses those they have. There's 5 vial, Tyrannia said, indicating the back on her lap. One for each of us. Tibs mused. Was still cheating again? I wanted to ask, but if Ganny was around, it would start an argument between the two of them. Because he promised he would keep her existence secret from his friends, he couldn't ask Stowe if she was still busy on the 3rd floor. We should keep them, she said. It's extra money for us. Will we get anything from for them from the guild? Was asked. They were just giving them to us when we got hurt. We aren't going to pay for them, Tibs replied. We're going to pay for them, Tibs replied with only a little bitterness once we reach Epsilon. Pay for what? Michael asked, pulling himself out of the hole. He reached in and pulled out a bag, and joined them. Irina showed him the potion. Is that a healing potion? He asked, taking it. There's 5, she said, 1 for each of us. Then everyone drink theirs, Jekyll said. Are we allowed? Irina asked. Won't the guild force us to pay for them? Jekyll drank his in a quick swallow, made a face, then sighed in relief. I'm not telling them those were here. I'm not telling them those were here. He threw the empty bottle over his shoulder. If it's not with the stuff we bring out, how are they going to know? The bottle bounced on the floor and rolled until it fell away. Tibs took the one she handed him. He hesitated, then drank it. He started to choke on the taste, but as with the previous time, that disappeared in time with his injuries. That disappeared as his injuries healed. Tibs placed the bottle on the floor. If it is not too much to ask, Commodore said as he climbed out of the warren, then stretched, his back popping. I will pass on warren crawling duties on future runs. He placed 2 bags with the others and sat. Kirino handed him the last vial, and he narrowed his eyes in suspicion, then sniffed it. If you plan on poisoning me, Kirina, you will need to be more subtle. The cleric sounded amused, but his expression was serious. With a roll of the eyes, Miz took the vial out of the cleric's hand and drank it in one swallow. I've basically forgotten how vile this was. Then he sighed. Good thing it doesn't last. He handed his bottle to the cleric. You've never drunk one of these in your travels? She asked. I have heard of them, the Commodore said, looking at the greenish liquid. But from all account, they are prohibitively expensive. Less than a respectable purity cleric, but still beyond the means of a common traveler. Not like you're exactly common, I scoffed. Thank you. Should we not take it and hand it to the guild? The money will allow Tibs to get more of the amulets. Drink it, Jekyll ordered. Commodore eyed the fighter, then drank it. Yeah, this is... his face brightened. Trusting. As the taste does not remain, using this is palatable. Well, something better tasting would still be appreciated. I'll get right on that, Stowe replied sarcastically, but Tibs didn't repeat it. Jekyll motioned to the ceiling, and Tibs nodded. Dungeon. These are so we're going to be ready for what's in the other room, isn't it? I like him, Stowe said. Very perceptive. Tibs covered his mouth to hide the snicker, and Jekyll looked at him. He said that you're right. Jekyll stood. Makes sense. After the beating we get to make it this far, it's the only way to keep us going. I was going to turn us around once we caught our breath and give up whatever loot is there, Kirino asked innocently. There's still going to be loot the next time we're here. The sorcerer and cleric followed the fighter, but missed Tibs behind. Did it heal the corruption? Tibs sensed the wrap he placed around the archer's broken arm. dissolving and reabsorbing it since it was now properly healed. He didn't sense corruption in that essence or mass, but he knew that. I don't know. The corruption that's tainting my essence doesn't stay in it when I put the wrap on your wounds. It leaches into your body, and after that, I can't tell what happens. Just like I can't see your essence in you, just the way it tints my essence coursing through your body. I have your essence in me. There's nothing. Everyone does, even ordinary people. Although theirs is so faint, I don't notice it unless I'm paying attention. The Omegas are like that before they're first run. Does theirs have a tint to it? No. Only people with an element have essence, and that's what tints it. That's what tints it. He didn't mention the blacksmith or baker did have a tint to their essence. It wasn't his place, and he still had no idea what it meant beyond the others. As they rejoined the others, a comment again he made back when Tibs asked Stowe. As they rejoined the others, a comment again he made back when Tibs asked Stowe he'd been how he'd been able to make it so Tibs had an audience with fire. What was needed for an audience, she said, was the element and intense emotion. Other than the audience with water, he'd nearly died in the process of getting an audience, getting other audiences. Just couldn't think of anything more intense than that. If that was true, did it mean it was possible for someone other than a runner to have an audience? Did the guild know that? Did anyone? And this concludes chapter 10 of Stepping Up. If you are enjoying this, give it a like. Want to know when the next one's going to be up? Subscribe, hit the bell. Share with your friends. Come on, this is fun. Everyone should be listening to this, all right? If you want to read the first book, as well as this one, you can do that on Royal Road. The link is in the notes, as is to my Patreon. Should you want to support me and or read ahead, of this about 3 weeks, 3 weeks to a month ahead or there. And if you want to watch me doing this live, you can do so on my Twitch. The link is also in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.